Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first race of the Race Room Racing Experience King of the Ring Championship. For this first race, we will travel to Hockenheimring, Baden-Württemberg, just 20 kilometers south of Mannheim in the south of Germany. This will be the first of 7 venues from Germany and Austria in the championship. The circuit we're driving at today is 4.6 kilometers long, and since the building of the circuit in 1932, it had quite a lot of layout changes from a former high-speed circuit to the nowadays layout which we will be driving today. This big change to the layout we are using today happened in 2002 and was led by Herman Tilke. It was 60 million euros for this building of the new Hockenheimring. The momentarily lap record on this track is a 1:13.7 set by F1 legend Kimi Raikkonen in 2004 McLaren. I am Wouter van der Woert, your commentator for today, and I'm be joined on the cams and with the comms by Chris Hill himself. Good morning, Chris. Well, evening.
I'll put my mic on now. Good evening. How are you on this rather somber day for the UK, I'm afraid? Today, if you're watching this as a recording, is the day that Queen Elizabeth II died, and may she rest in peace. As you said, we've got a race to run tonight, so are you very much looking forward to this? I know you've been preparing well for it.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it, as Race Room was my startup sim into sim racing, and it's lovely to see a championship with these amazing DTM cars from back in 2016, which quite feels like a time ago, but still is for the people a couple of years back, and with 3 different car manufacturers named as BMW, Audi, and Mercedes, we will see quite a lot of action, I believe.
I think certainly with the talent that we've got within this community, we should definitely see some good hard racing. DTM's renowned for rubbing and racing, if I'm correct there.
Yeah, definitely, and also with these cars with a flippity flappy rear wing, which means the FDRS might also come in handy for the overtaking on this track. And another problem the drivers have to deal with, well, you could call it problem, is that these cars aren't equipped by a TCS or an ABS system. So in the corner you saw there, Spitzeker, the hairpin on the circuit, we already saw quite a lot of drivers spun off in the practice. So I guess in a short time we will move over to the footage of the qualifying or the practice.
Yeah, let's do that right now. So currently riding on board with Andres Carlin, who's showing us second. So this in second place. This may very well be his first lap. I think there's 10 laps of qualifying. The Sem sets the fastest time there with a 1:37.109. Andreas is only 0.4 behind him.
Yeah, we have a 10-minute standing qualifying for this races. So that means there isn't a private qualifying, so you're on track with everybody. As you said, we're following Andreas Kalin, I believe, to pronounce it. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. On a lap, who topped the timetables in the practice session, as we follow him on the curved back straight. And then we switch over to Martin Pater, finishing off his lap in the last 2 corners, looking to set a good time to get on the leaderboard. With here we have Dimitri Schenk in the Audi going to the hairpin, also on his second lap or so, as they already has time on the board in the Castrol Audi RS3. RS5. And there we see, I don't know who it is, but we saw the first car now on screen spinning off in the Spitzenkerre, as it's Tim Nijboer. Bad luck for him that we just saw it. Driving in the Mercedes, currently sitting P15 with no time set. Trying to get, well, as we said, a 10-minute qualifying. Then we'll have a 20-minute sprint race and a 30-minute sprint race after each other, with the second race having a reverse grid, making it for even more action. As Mike Abarosa finishes his lap, already being in P1 and still being in P1, only 2/10 ahead of Sam Spekeling, which is just a fraction of time between the two. As he goes to the next corner, trying to hit the apex there, to get a good exit for these long back straight, as these cars have DRS in the race but not in the practice, so they are just driving on naturally pace, and these cars also seem to have quite a bit of downforce with all the winglets and all the things, so it's quite powerful car, and a little bit of a slide there out of the hairpin to go on his qualifying lap. Hitting the apex nicely for a lap, as I hope we will be now on board for a lap with Sam Spekeling, the guy in P2 with the fastest sector in the Mercedes AMG, going through the last corner to start a new lap. We saw sometimes where we were on board and then the driver just cuts his lap off. Well, I spoke a second too soon.
I'll try and find one.
Here we'll see Nart Cox, also in the Mercedes, sitting P3 with just under 0.03 of a second to Dan Lensen in P4, and just about 1/10 behind Sam Spekeling, so also doing it quite nicely. With already 12 drivers on the board, and you can almost say sadly, with the only German driver till now sitting P12, as we have a couple of Dutch drivers, some people from Great Britain, a man from Sweden, as Nart Cox sets this fastest second sector, so he's absolutely on the flyer, trying to grab that pole away maybe, as he's only 0.3 behind. Nice camera shot there through another tight corner, through a chicane, and trying to nail the last corners perfectly. As he goes around to set a
second.
Second with only 700ths to P1 of Mike Abarosa. So you I guess to be scared. The only thing with race room is when the timer hits 0, you aren't allowed to complete your lap. The session directly cuts off. So Mike Abarosa isn't physically possible to set another lap. So it seems like some of the drivers aren't aware of this rule in race room. But we'll see what will happen into the standings. Bit of a lockup, trying to get the exit right for a curved with 1/10 under his under the session best. So he's also driving his heart out.
So I had to pick on the driver that's in the pits. Do apologise for
that. Our Finnish driver, here we have Dave Jr. driving the BMW M-Power M4. Well, I believe that was qualifying with Mike Abarosa on pole and only 700 behind. We have Nart Cox then in 2/10 Sam Spekeling, Daan Lensen, Andreas Gallien, sorry if I mispronounce it, Dimitri Schenk, Visa Nukkunen, also sorry if I mispronounce your name. Now I feel how it is for English commentators to pronounce Dutch names. Dave Jr., Martin Pater, Patrick Treffers, Stu Neal, Francesco Billet, and Michel Klein. Or Michael. Also, sorry if I didn't pronounce it right. Well, that's the starting grid for now. We have 15 seconds before we will start, as we see some on-track footage of the cars driving around from the practice. So we will see a 20-minute sprint race with a standing start. So all 15 drivers trying to get to turn 1 as fast as possible without locking up or taking each other out. So this will be quite lovely to see, I can imagine. As we see the tricky hairpin of the venue, which also marked its GT World Challenge debut last weekend. So with DTM is GT World Challenge about the biggest event which is happening here. But still the German manufacturer series, which is now also using about GT3 spec cars, is the biggest event here. Well, here we are on the grid for the 20-minute race. And we're green, and they get away nicely all. Nobody stopped. And I don't know who it is. I believe Sam Spekeling tries to make it 3 wide, goes around the outside to still hang around there with Nard Cox alongside him to slot in P2. Nice overtake from here. But also Nard Cox, who got the first position into the first corner. Nice job by him. So they probably have practiced the start, as Mike Abarosa lost 2 positions there in only 2 corners. As Sam Spekeling is closing the gap on Nard Cox, maybe trying to go for an overtake into Spitzekerre, the hairpin, as they also go side by side in the back of the field. And Sam Spekeling dives to the inside and gets him, but now has to watch out on the throttle. And yeah, he nicely got past him, and he took the lead from him. So our leader after the first couple of turns is Sam Spekeling, as they kind of spread out, as they're still side by side in the back of the field. But I believe Tom Nijboer having a bit of a scrappy start, and some other people. So we'll continue in watching as the first 4 are driving a couple of bit away from the person in P5, Dimitri Schenk. So as said, Mike Abarosa didn't have the best start, and Sam Spekeling, after not setting the best qualifying lap time, is still there at the front of the race. As we're on board with Mike Abarosa, trying to drive at the back of Nard Cox, trying to catch him, with eventually the DRS looking to get past him. But for now, watching out that he doesn't spin out the car or does anything wrong. On to the second corner, a bit more, quite tight one. Driving, he almost lost it, but nicely corrected by his driving. As he activates the DRS, which you get 3 activations per lap if you're close behind the car in front. But also Nard Cox has the DRS advantage, as so it won't be that big of an advantage. And Nard Cox dived down the inside of Sam Spekeling, and also Abarosa goes side by side with him. Still side by side, but Abarosa has the inside, and he takes it. No, the Spekeling hangs around there, but just has to let him go. And also can't see at the moment in the leaderboard who it is in P4.
I believe it's Dan Lenson in P4.
Dan Lenson also got up to them, but there's away now, so he might have got a bit scrappy there. Oh yeah, he actually spun out, I believe, as he dropped down to P14. Yeah, he stopped at the side of the track. giving way to Tom Nijboer, and this seems like he is out of the first race in only 3 minutes. So that's sad for Dan Lanson, the guy who was in P4 and was unlucky. So here we are on board with Tom Nijboer, our Red Lantern in this race so far. But you saw what could happen with the cars, so just keep hanging around there. As indeed, still Abarosa in front of Spakelink, which will most likely try and get in front of him. As we're watching Tim Nijboer just driving his lines, driving his pace, watching out on the brakes. As we see Nart Cox being P3 now, so he also lost about time there, as the top 3 has now changed the lead to all of them from the first lap on, and we're only in the 3rd lap now. So if this will be a thing for the whole season to see these battles, it will be amazing. As Abarosa has the lead, but and down his inside goes Sam Spakelink with his Mercedes, activating DRS, trying to hang around there on the outside. Doesn't make it. So now it is Spakelink, Abarosa, and Cox, all fighting for those first position, and still close as you can be almost, as they all went to the lead now once. And behind there, it's the Finnish driver, Nukoinen, with 3 seconds behind him, leading from Dimitri Schenk, Dave Junior, Stu Hill. I'm just too scared to pronounce the name, Galen, as Spakelink gets it down the inside again. Just unbelievable how these people are racing. Patrick Treffers, Michael Klein, Martin Pater. As Patrick Treffers actually drops down 2 positions, and also Mike Arosa gets the first position back, and Cox goes down the inside of Sam Spakelink. These drivers aren't giving each other any seconds of rest, as Spakelink almost lost it on the sausage curbs there. They get your rear of the car in the air, and then it will be quite tricky. So he lost a bit of the connection to the cars in front, but it's again Abarosa who took the lead from Spakelink. So these drivers absolutely don't give each other presence from position or something. It's just 30 minutes still of absolutely racing. So as Cox drops down a little bit from Abarosa, so he is just in front of Spakelink, which is nice for Abarosa, British driver, to try and get away in that beautiful Audi machinery. Going onto the back straight for the 5th lap of this race, 30 minutes remaining. Following each other through turn 1, close than ever, and maybe he could go for the dive here, as he just patiently waits and probably will activate the DRS here, as we saw in the last few laps that it's quite effective. If you see the rear wing folding a bit backwards, it's not a bit as big of a gap as in Formula 1, but it's still quite effectful.
What's difficult here is, Walter, is because these 3 are battling so close, it's difficult to get down the field and see other drivers. But at some stage, I am going to have to switch off and focus on some other people. But these 3 out front are giving us such an intense battle.
Yeah, obviously we want to give the whole field as much screen time, but with these guys, they are giving each other an inch of room on this also quite tricky circuit, with some repeating sections here, where we saw some heartbreaking moments for F1 driver Sebastian Vettel. Giving a nice shot here from the back of the car of Mike Abarosa, seeing the 2 mighty Mercedeses in the back of him, trying to get past each other. As Spakeling looks down the inside of Nard Cox, they a little come together, and Spakeling gets the position in front. So Spakeling is P2, but it seems like Nard Cox is still at the inside of him, looking to break the late as possible, as Spakeling wins the battle of the late breakers and now tries to get behind Mike Abarosa with DRS, trying to overtake him into the hairpin, big braking zone. Absolutely bravery from the two drivers we saw here, going side by side through almost the first two corners. As you quite now can see that the DRS not having it as the leader is pretty effective. So Sam Spakeling took the lead from Mike Arosa there. So now he's in a Mercedes sandwich, and now Nard Cox has to look for his chances, and maybe also Arosa can set again to the attack side for it. As Nard Cox goes down the inside of Abarosa. Nice move from the textbook as they go side by side, and he gets a bit in the gravel, and Abarosa gets it back from him. Amazing drive from these people, as we saw a couple of changes in the leaderboard now, but it's just hard to focus on something else with such a close leader battle. Going around the main straight, here we have Dave Jr. just behind Dimitri Schenk, also going over the start-finish line, going to follow each other into turn 1 nicely. They give each other a little bit of room to try and drive themselves, as this is the battle for P5, as they have a little distance to... Oh,
Dimitri
just missed it.
Spin that.
Spin from Dimitri, but still in P9, so nice job from him. Then trying to drive there, 3 beautiful green cars, as I believe it's Klein following Hill. It's hard to pronounce these names, with just a little name in the leaderboard. So my sincere apologies if I mispronounce your name. I know how it feels.
I mispronounce it all the time, don't I?
Yeah, a little bit. As here, Michael Klein follows the car of Niel.
Visa Nukkinen. No, it's Stu Neal, that, sorry.
Yeah, Stu Neal. Around there, going over the start-finish in a couple of seconds for lap number 8 in this race, as the gaps are now still a battle for P1 with, I believe, Abarosa dropped a little bit down. Then a gap to Noikonen in P4, which is about 4 seconds down on the lead group. Then a gap to Dave Jr., which is close with Galen. Then we have the battle with Neil and Klein. Then we have Dimitri Schenk, Pater. Then a gap to Patrick Travers. Here also Billet. And further back down we have Naibu. And also I can see probably Stratman also retired from this race. So we didn't know what happened there. But also bad to see him there. But hopefully he's still there with us for the next race. I don't know who it was. But a car went spinning on the exit of the hairpin. So it seems like Dave Jr., I believe, spun there.
Yeah, it must be.
As we see.
Because Dave Jr. is
yeah,
it's down in 12th now.
It's bad luck for him, as we saw cars following each other through there. So we can say that even late in the race, you still have to be focused at your own driving and not only at the cars in front or behind to see where they are. And it's quite tricky to see how they are driving at this limit.
Now look at Martin Patter making an attack on Dimitri Schenk.
Yeah, driving behind him. Trying to get past him with the DRS a bit. And yeah, trying to get that P8 from Mr. Schenk down. As Spekeling and Cox are now in the leaderboard pretty close for the lead. With only about 6 minutes remaining in the race. So we had the largest part of it. As Pater goes down the inside of Mr. Dimitri Schenk in the hairpin, and also the cars in front, Neil and Klein go side by side through there. So Pater gets the P8, but goes out wide and gives it back, or just loses it out again to Dimitri Schenk. So Pater back in P9 and Dimitri Schenk in P8. Still lead group. Actually, North Cox just dropped down about a second from the lead, as we're keeping eye on that with the timings between those, as these two drivers are also driving their absolute best to overtake each other, as Michel Klein is following the back of Stu Neal for quite some laps now, the big yellow BMW, as they come back down the start finish for the 10th time this race with only 5 minutes remaining. So they will also battle it out for P6 in the race, which will be eventually reverse grid be about 7 or 8 also in the second race, as he has the DRS. Michiel Klein and Neil doesn't have it, so round the outside with the overspeed, making a nice move, and now only having to make it stick and drive quite well, as he does, and he overtakes for P6, getting the DRS on for the turn to the right there, switching it off on time, otherwise you would see yourself spinning off into the back rooms. And they are a nice overtake there, as we had in the last couple of minutes there, as this is the leading couple with Mike Arosa looking down the inside of Nart Cox, fighting for that P2. So we will cross the start finish a couple times more before the flag drops. So Arosa trying to get the best out of the DRS, getting some new ones, and they all trying to get back on Sam Spekeling, who is driving the best out there at the moment, and that Mercedes still in the lead, as they get quite close to each other with the Constantina effect, and now they can both use DRS there. You saw the rear wing moving, trying to get that overspeed on the Mercedes of Sam Spekeling, as Nordcox goes to the left side, and Mike Abarosa looks down the right side, also goes side by side into the braking zone there, tries to get enough speed from it apex there, as Nordcox lost it, and he still saves it, but also costed Abarosa some time, which makes Spekeling again in the lead of the race, as he almost got overtaken by 2 cars to the same corner. So
And
it
looked like Nard Cox then used the DRS then to get himself out of trouble and away from Mike Abranosa after he had that little half spin.
Yeah, using the DRS here can be quite handy, as it deactivates when braking, as in the Formula 1 cars, as Abarosa goes to the white line for the second to last lap here around the Hockenheimring, losing a bit to the cars in front, so he might not be too happy with the previous lap, and they head into the second to last lap of this race, Still, Mr. Sam Spekelink in the lead, with just behind him Nart Cox. Only 8 tenths between them, like the whole race has been. So trying to get the most out of the DRS. As here we see Neukkonen, who is just driving a great race and didn't have any issues. Just sitting there P4, doing the best he can and is doing pretty well, as he is out of the as Nart Cox actually overtakes Sam Spekelink into the hairpin. So now he can get the DRS to create a bit of a gap onto the Mercedes driving behind him. So he gets a bit of a gap and now tries to hold it, as it might be a bit of a disadvantage, as they probably still have one lap left. And you see that almost every DRS time there you can get the overtake. So Abarosa is missing out of the picture, as he might got in some trouble from that little previous lap where he had some issues. Spekeling brakes late, following each other damn close through that chicane into the last two corners onto the last lap. If it isn't with plus one lap, which I nowhere saw. Well, going through turn one again, following each other on the curbs, jumping a bit. Maybe using some DRS here, but not for Sam Spekelink. And then try and get as close as you can come here. As a bit of a slide from Nart Cox. May get some speed. Yeah, DRS for Sam Spekelink, not for Nart Cox. So he gets the overspeed on the Mercedes in front, goes to the outside, and give each other the room, as you can't do much to a car just driving past you with the DRS. Nart Cox trying to get it back on the line there, but also Spekelink getting the DRS again there, trying to pull a gap to Nart Cox behind to secure the win of the first race here. Through the hairpins. Nice shot from the back of the cars here. Also seeing the sparks fly. It's just unbelievable, as Nart Cox looks at the outside but doesn't make it stick. Still has to watch out that it doesn't go off track and spin around, that he loses P2, as it seems like with no big overtaking opportunities. Sam Spekelink just has to do 4 corners left, 2 times to the right, as Spekelink rounds the final corner to win the first race of the DTM Championship, even with the DRS. No chance for Nart Cox. Nart Cox finishing second, with only 3 tenths between them. In fourth, we have Abarosa. Third, we have Abarosa. Fourth, Neukkonen, also doing a great job. Then onto the fifth place, we have Michiel Klein, how you want to pronounce it, also doing great. Martin Pater, who also made some moves there. Stu Neal, Dimitri Schenk, Agaulen going over the line. Francesco Billet finishing pretty close with Dave Jr. Only, well, actually, I can say they finished, from things we can see, they finished at almost the same time.
Yeah, 15.507.
Then we have Patrick Treffers and then Tim Nyboer rounding the final corner. And then we had the DNF in P14 from Stratman and Dan Lensen. So race winner Sam Spekelink and the fastest lap by him. So amazing job by the cars, but we saw that both Spekelink and Nart Cox and Mike Abarosa were pretty close to him. So with reverse grid, this will be interesting.
Yes, back to front challenge. Is it a full
Yeah,
reverse
definitely.
grid?
Yeah, it's the full reverse grid, as far as I'm informed. So this might be tricky, as the not the fastest driver will be in front. So They have to clear them first before they can go on and try and fight for the lead there. So we might get some different results. Also, 10 minutes longer this race. Um, so plenty of action. What did you like the race?
I like the race so much. It's just with that lead trio, they got so much airtime because they were just swapping and changing places, lap after lap after lap, almost corner after corner. It was difficult to get down the field and view the other drivers, wasn't it? But
Yeah, it's
but while they were obviously other drivers on the circuit, they equally were battling as well. So yeah, it looks like everybody's had a bit of fun apart from Dan Lenson and was it Stratman who seemed to retire from
yeah,
the race.
yeah, yeah. So amazing to see these drivers having fun with battling. As we saw some groups like P6, 7, 8 were battling. And they are reversed now. So Tim Nijboer in P2, Dan Lenson in P1 as they go green for another 30 minutes of the Hockenheimring in the DTM 2016 cars. And some cars get a quite good launch. Dave Jr. with the not the best launch, and Dan Lenson in the lead. Well, a hit with Francesco Billet, who is at the back of the grid. So he just has to make up positions here, as it comes cleanly through the first turn. Um, no scrambles there, side by side. So quite a lot of action will most likely happen into the hairpin, as we see Francesco Billet at the back of the pack there. As they head into the chicane, judging each other's braking point, not going on the throttle too fast, and everyone is clean through. Well, there was a car having a bit of a scrap. Hard to tell if a couple of people use the same liveries. Um, but they are. Oh well, someone went straight on and hit someone. So let's try and see who those were.
Patrick
Well,
Treffers
it
and Dave
was,
Jr. again.
yeah, Patrick Treffers and Dave Jr. So they now are at the back of the pack. So they have to some ground to make up. As Daan Lensen still leads with 1 second from Tom Nijboer. Sam Spekelink already in P8, with the people, of course, Nart Cox and Mike Abarosa behind him. A couple of bigger gaps now, as they are kind of clearing some traffic with a different pace than them. So in equal machinery and on nothing with laps, so everyone is battling as hard as they can with each other. As we see Neukönen, Neil, and Pater battling with each other. Martin Pater looking down the inside, but doesn't make it stand there. Onto the back straight, too wide behind him. Everyone with DRS. So actually, Neukönen doesn't have it activated. So Sam Spekelink and him both with DRS. With the room and down the inside as Spekelink takes the room, and Nart Cox is just behind Neukönen as you go too wide through the hairpin, trying to follow each other through. Spekelink already P6, Cox P8, and Arosa P10. Furthermore, we see still Dan Lens in P1 with 1.4 seconds now. Galen in P3 and Dimitri Shank in P4. So Dan Lens actually getting away pretty well. So he might actually had some luck with starting at the front, so he can try and pull away before the people with the best pace come around. At least the winners of the podium last race around, as they are driving in the pack with Neil, Spekelink, Pater, Cox, and Neukönen, all of them. So battling there for the position, as nothing is given away for free in these races. Spekelink with DRS doesn't make it, but tries for the next few corners. As you go here easily with the pace reference, isn't much of a gap, as you see in the Formula One rear rings, but it's still an impactful piece. As in P3 Gala, here we see Stu Neil getting in front of Martin Pater, with Martin Pater looking down the inside, actually being in front right now with help of the DRS, and trying to maybe follow Sam Spakeling for a bit. It's too new, goes down the inside again, has a look, but doesn't make it. And actually, Martin Pater lost it. So he lost it on the exit of the hairpin, goes back with Travers and Dave Jr. in front. Tough one for him, as he now is the back of the field. Micah Rosa being behind Neukönen in that red machine, trying to go past him as soon as possible to stay behind North Cox. As Lanson already has 2 seconds to Tom Nijboer, and then Augalen. So they are driving their best they can as North Cox and Neukönen go side by side through that chicanes. Big bravery from the drivers there. Down the inside in turn 1. As here we see the first, second, and third with the DRS there. North Cox and Arosa seems like they're stuck behind Neukönen, but still they have to battle for it. So amazing to see these cars battling each out with each other, and also Michael Klein trying to go in the mix there. And also Billet getting back to the pack as he had that spin in turn 1. Abarosa has the DRS, but every car in front has the DRS. Have their rear wing dropped as Cox goes down the inside of Neukönen. Can Abarosa come with it? Yeah, he tries, but he doesn't make it. He might activate another DRS, try and just get past him. So he gets back to Nord Cox. As Spakeling is already P4, so he cleared Dimitri Schenk and actually also cleared Tom Nijboer, who had a big of a who lost out to Gaulin, and now Sam Spakeling is already back in the podium places, while Abarosa, the P3 of last race, is still in P9. So Dimitri Schenk here, car behind Tom Nijboer, driving through the sparks, trying to get his Dutch co-driver to clear him and pass him for the for P4. Nicely to turn 1 over the curbs, a little bit wide, but it's all possible in GT car, touring car races. Stratman is, I believe, back in the pits. Well, he isn't there anymore.
I think he's left.
So that was him for these races. As we follow around with Dmitry Schenk. As he goes down the inside with the DRS on Tom Nijboer. Does it make it stick? Yes. Nijboer going wide, and amazing job from Dmitry Schenk overtaking him. And now oh, wait. I looked away for 1 millisecond and I see Nijboer is dropping down the order. So he probably spun around there. Yeah, he's just in front of Patrick Travers and behind Martin Pater. So something that we will most likely see also a bit more here is that hairpin acceleration zone, trying to not spin it there as he clears Martin Pater there, gets to the apex as well. Oh, and gets into the gravel. Unfortunate for him, loses 2 positions and is at the absolute back of the grid right now. As now North Cox is past Neukönen, so is now a couple of seconds behind Spakeling, with still Dimitri Schenk between them, and who isn't an easy cookie to pass also, and still Dan Lensen leading in front with about a 2.2 seconds gap to the car behind. Just leading easily there. Nard Cox here, trying to do his best, passing and getting by Dimitri Schenk to try and come to his rules. As Neukölln also takes advantage of the DRS and goes take a look down the inside there, but doesn't make it stick. As they drive it now through the back part with a turn in it. It's absolutely flat out through here. Trying to gain advantage on the cars doesn't make it stick. So he's driving his heart out here to get by. Also, Dan Lensen doing a great job keeping there in front. Then we have Galin in P2. In P3, we have Sam Spekelink. In P4, I can't actually see right now.
Dimitri Schenk in P4, I'm sorry.
Dimitri
I wasn't
Schenk.
quick enough for you there, I do apologise.
No problem, thank you. Just having some quality issues here. Nordcox in P5. P6, we have Neukönen. P7, we have Mike Abrosa. P8, we have Stu Neal. P9, we have Michael Kleen, which is fighting with, I believe that's Neal. So in P8, we have Klein. Then behind in P10, we have Billet, who is doing an amazing drive to just drive away from the 3 Dutchmen behind him. The person from the stage in P11, Dave Jr. Then we have Patrick Treffers, Tom Nijboer, and Martin Pater, all heading some unfortunate spin as Billet also goes past Stu Neal there with the DRS, but goes a bit wide. Stu Neal down the inside. It doesn't make it stick. It's also the rear wing drops down from the pink Mercedes in front. Absolutely lovely. The BWT Mercedes liveries. Oh, we actually had a spinner. It's Mike Abrosa. One of the, I thought could be a lead competitor. Actually spun there. So if his race for the podium chances is about as over as it can get. Yeah, we still have 18 minutes to go, but it's quite a long run up to the lead. So Dan Lens is still driving his best out there and doing a great job. Spekeling and Cox now cleared Schenk, as I believe he had a bit of a moment as Dimitri Schenk is actually back to P6. So there you see him behind Neukönen and just in front of Klein, who's battling with Billet and Neal there. So we're on board with Dimitri Schenk looking at the rear wing. Behind we see Klein and just driving there in the 70 minutes still remaining in this race. As Nordcox has quite a gap onto the number 4 driver as still Gaulin driving amazingly there. Dalens and both doing amazing to keep those 2 positions just from the start on, not making any mistakes. Trying to get as good finish as possible there.
Not as many close battles this time round, but still 17 minutes left.
Yeah, so Dimitri Schenk here, driving through it, just keeping it in front, keeping the gaps, as also Klein is driving away from Neal and Billet, fighting hard behind him. So there we'll see the 8th time they pass this start-finish straight, and it's only about 1.5 seconds between them. So also things can happen here, as we see that even further in the race, with some quite good names. Had some issues at, I can probably say it's the most tricky corner of the circuit now, the hairpin there. What do you think about the spins at the hairpin?
I think it's quite easy to do with the while you're trying to put your power down. And you just get that snap of oversteering. It'll want to spit you out the into the barriers on the right hand side. Well, hopefully Dimitri doesn't demonstrate for us.
Oh yeah, back here. Apologies, I had some internet stuttering, so here we are board with Sam Spakelink looking behind. We just see Cox entering the straight there, so he maybe just sees a little step in the rear view mirror, so I don't think he will have much pressure from behind. Just driving it out there. As Daan Lens and Golan still driving in front, doing some excellent pace. As we had half of the race there, the 9th time they go over the start finish for lap 10, trying to make the best out of it. As we see them coming there, Golan and Spakeling behind, so 2 Red Bull Audis in the back of them. Well, apologies. 1 Red Bull Audi, as Mike Arose has the other Red Bull Audi in the field, who is in P10 after a spin. So here we are at Martin Pater and Patrick Travers, driving each other to the limit, trying to overtake each other. We'll see. Oh, in contact between those two, and Pater having to go a bit on the grass. On the rear ring of the Travers, we see the green and yellow car of Pater from the yellow car of Travers. So in the hairpin, he comes close, but still has to try and make it. So next lap, most likely have DRS and try go past him. So flat out through there, following each other as close as you can be, not locking up the tires, which they do amazingly here. As we head into the last section of the track, alongside the drag strip, as we see Mike Abarosa having to pass some drivers again to get back into contention for podium place, but that would be quite tricky if he can make it even back to there. As Stewart's decision, someone got a drive-through penalty. I couldn't see
Tim
who it
Neibauer.
was.
That was Tim
Tim
Neibauer.
Neibauer. Thank you, Mr. Chris Hill. Tim Neibauer, the driver who is already in last place. It's only adding salt to the wound. So also a drive-through for him. So we can already stripe him out of the good positions here. Bad luck for him, but they maybe Norisring next week will be better. As Colin is battling with Spakeling there. Well, actually gets overtaken by Spakeling. And now there's more pressure for Daan Lensen, as we see him driving there. So Galin losing it from P2, going to P3, driving amazing till now and still driving amazing. But Spakeling gets a little bit loose over the curbs, but just cleanly came past him, as he is now trying to hunt down Daan Lensen for that first position in this race, which saw quite a lot of action up till now. So also Spakeling has to watch out on the hairpin next round for possible DRSs from the Red Bull livery car here, as they come over the start finish again to start the next lap. Not side by side. They're driving behind each other. Yes, he has the DRS as Spakeling. We watch from his rear view mirror. Quite nice shot to the back of the car, to the front of the car behind him, who has the DRS and tries to make the best out of it. As now we can clearly see Nijboer 45 seconds behind. He can't make any good position out of this, so bad luck for him. As he go through the corner nicely, still some Spakelink in front, going through that flat out corner and trying to increase the gap to them and actually close the gap to Mr. Dan Lensen, which we saw again driving there, who was still from the start in front. So maybe it was tactics, maybe it was just good luck from having bad luck, but who profited from the reverse. Galen gets closer to Spakelink, but not close enough. Going through the final sections of the track, getting pretty close now. Putting some pressure on the Dutch driver, who keeps his head calm. As Nordschleife is still a big part behind, so it doesn't seem like he will get back to it quite soon. As they go into lap 13, 10 minutes on the clock, and it's Lensen in P1, Bakelink P2, and Galen in P3, so no big change in the podium. Here we have Dan Lensen doing his amazing job of just driving it there, seeing the cars behind him, but they don't come closer. Further, we see Neukönen again back there as Galen gets DRS. Might try, yes, goes down the inside at the hairpin. So these two guys aren't over battling yet. Bless you. As gets again the DRS around the outside, does he make it? Quite close, a little bit wide. So get back on the track for the braking zone. Yeah. So Galen still in P3 behind Spakelink, who's doing amazing to defend here without the DRS. And Alvarosa, who made 2 positions up from his spin. So he's P8 now. Some battles bit through the gravel, grass on the sides there, and onto the last corners. There we see Mike Abrosa trying to do his best, getting some good positions out of here. But as you saw, in these short races, in a big race, and also in like 1.5 hours or so, if you spin at the beginning of the race, you will get the time to drive back to the front pack. But in just a 30-minute race, if you make one big mistake, and the leading pack doesn't, and you have quite the same pace, then there's just no chance. As Martin Pater tries there, make it around the outside, doesn't work. Maybe tries down the inside, getting the DRS activation again for the next lap. And trying to get past the big yellow machine in front. Yeah, taking DRS there to overtake Travers. You see the overspeed, doing an amazing there. So it actually helps making the overtakes more there, making it easier as he actually gets the overtake done, but still has a Travers closing in on the outside, trying to go not just side by side, as it's pretty hard there. As Spakelink is now dropped Galen off, but also has a 4 seconds gap, so he will try to break it off with just 7 minutes remaining. As Nijboer is now 1 lap down, so no luck for him this race. And Nordschleife also got past Galen as he's pitting for maybe a penalty, maybe he has damage, wants new tires. Well, we'll see. It seems like his left door has a little bit of a tap. So he's in the pits, will also drop down. So that means Neukönen is P4 now again. Cox is P3 P3 and Speckling is P2, driving behind the leader from the start, Daan Lensen.
So with only 6 minutes left to go, Sam's got 4 seconds to try and catch up on Dan. It's been a good race for both of those drivers. Dan leading from the start and is presently on lap 15. Leading this race, Sam Speckling starting from last position and now up to second, 3 seconds behind. Now Cox in third, further 4 seconds behind Sam. Nokkinen in fourth, who we're on board with at the moment.
Loikonen in fourth. Michel Klein in fifth, driving there, and P6, Mike Abarosa. So even with the spin, he is making quite a bit of ground up, with passing some other drivers. So also a good drive here in these cars. Then we see Dimitri Schenk in the blue car with the green back. Then further back we see Stu Neal. Then we'll see Dave Jr., Francesco Billet, also from the spin at the start, still P10. Nice job by him. Martin Pater, there we just see coming around the corner. There and we see Patrick Travers going around there. Further back we see Aukelan. I'm so super sorry if I mispronounced it, but
Yeah, Andres looks like he's retired, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he's sideways now.
As does
so
Tim
back in the
Narbauer.
menu. So they both retired. So now it's 12 cars in contention still, with Dan Lensen being the leading guy of them, and doing amazing to keep the gaps to Sam Speckling. Just about 3-4 laps of this driving like this, and he will get it. But we can't speak too soon, as we saw how tricky these cars are. But this is a nice circuit for them, as this is one of the biggest German circuits. Well, we're seeing Stratman back in the leaderboard, but maybe having some issues there. But which isn't the issue, is that this car is the leader, and is doing amazing right now. No DRS, also no DRS for the car behind, so they're both driving equal, as they had through the hairpin for the 17th time in P1. So just from the start, no issues. A great performance, if I can say it.
You can say it, nobody's going to stop you.
Yeah. Just doing amazing. Last race winner, keeping behind. As we saw that he has great pace. It's just the fact that he got a bit unlucky in last race, which meant with this reverse grid that it can get lucky here, for the big one. I believe there isn't a difference in points for both of the races, but it's still amazingly to see them driving so fast, and on the limit, as we saw some cars going to the gravel, to the grass, over the curbs, at the moments where the track just ends here, as Nord Cox has quite a gap to the back. And then we have Noikinen, who will maybe try and hang around there to, if someone makes a mistake or does something wrong, to make it, to invade the now Dutch podium, as still Mike Abarosa is now behind Klein for P5. Goes have a look down the inside, gets next to him and brakes later, side by side to there. Amazing job by him, but still wasn't good enough. So maybe try again with another DRS. As he does, throwing the rear ring down at the back, so he gets the overspeed. He gets the drag advantage through the hairpin, and he gets the P5 back. So his next goal is Neukenen, which is 5 seconds ahead, and only 50 seconds remaining on the clock. So with they are halfway into the lap, we most likely see another lap after this, but still Dan Lenson in front, doing the best he can through the chicane and through the last two corners for the second to last time, and starting the last lap with about 3-4 seconds of a lead. So just doing it amazing there. Couldn't repeat it. Um, um, as Spakeling is behind him from last place, which is also quite an achievement, as he had to cover off the other cars, and also like people like Bullet, um, or Billet. I have some issues reading the letters. My apologies. With the turn one spin, getting quite back. It seems like they are taking the checkered flag there right now, but it isn't the case. They still have to do another lap because it's for the leader in P1, who is on his 19th lap. Well, I spoke too soon.
Yeah, it
No,
looks like they crossed the line and they've slowed down, so they're taking the checkered flag.
oh, I believe. Well, it seemed like Billet was still racing, and these cars are definitely still driving at full force. So these are the important ones. As she rounds the corner for the final time, only some chicanes and some turns right now. Turning right here. And also him, Dan Lenson, riding the final corner to take the checkered flag in race 2 to be the dominant winner of this race with about a 3-second gap to Sam Spakeling, winner of last race and the biggest point hauler of this race event. And in P3, Nart Cox to round off the Dutch podium here in Hockenheimring, Baden-Württemberg. P4, Neukenen. P5, Abarosa. P6, Klein. P7, Shank. P8, Neil. P9, Junior. P10, Pater. P11, Billet. P12, Treffers. P13, Gulen. P14, Straatman, it seems like. Well, they all DNF'd at the bottom three. So here we see winner Dan Lanson, amazing job by him, and the fastest lap set by Sam Spakeling again. So two good drivers here for the podium. Um, and maybe let's see if we can get to talk to one of these guys.
It was certainly a good race to watch. The first race was epic. The second race was a bit quieter, but from start to finish, Dan Lenson managed to lead that. Um, and we wait for some drivers, hopefully, to come for an interview.
Yeah, they all did amazing here. Seeing some amazing driver and some amazing battles going on with the DRS, which we don't see in the sims like I said, of course, a competizione. Um, so it's a fun edition here, and it's a nice sim, if I say the least. And the best part of this sim is that it's actually free from some content, but we have some people in interview waiting, so am I just gonna drag them in both? Oh yeah.
Hi guys.
Good evening.
Hello.
Well, uh, Sam, I think I'm gonna start with you. Well, congrats on winning the first race, and great job driving from last to P2 on the second race. What was your feeling about the races?
Yeah, race one was really exciting with both Menard as well as Mike just switching around with the DRS continuously until near the end. I could finally have the DRS once at Nord, so at the right time, and then pass him. But before that, it was just constant battles. It was absolutely great. Like these cars were so nice to drive. They had the downforce, but still they were quite difficult on the brakes and on the throttle. You had to be careful, of course, without the ABS and TC. So that was nice to win the first race. And then the second one, I came to the field quite quickly. So that was nice. And then I got kind of to a standstill with the gaps to Andreas and of course, Dan, who were also really quick. And I couldn't really get closer. At a certain point, I could get in DRS with Andreas, and then just as I overtook him, he went to the pits. I don't know why yet. And then 4 seconds to Dan was just too much, so consolidated P2.
Yeah, we all saw the big DRS battles in the first race, which was also entertaining to watch. Um, but as we saw that almost every time you get the DRS on the to the hairpin, um, you can get the overtaking work. So was it also maybe a bit of a relief for you that you could actually see by getting passed by Nart, you get the DRS on the last lap?
Yeah,
So
so it wasn't planned because I was able to keep them behind mostly the few laps before, so I thought I'm just gonna stay ahead. But then the lap prior to the last lap, Nart overtook me because he just was already too close going to the DRS. Yeah, but realistically, when you are be like within half a second, 6, 7 tenths, maybe you would really get the overtake would be on. So it was difficult to defend from that. It's really strong on this track with the long straight. But yeah, it was very tense nonetheless, and happy to win the first race, and of course happy with the comeback in the second one.
yeah, great job. Then Nart Cox, you were P2 and P3 in the both races, as Sam already said, overtaken the second to last lap, and that big lead battle in the beginning. As your start in the first race was pretty good, if I say the least. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't practiced the start, but it's like a bit tricky. Like you can't have too much throttle applied because then you just wheel spin. You can't have too little because then you just bog down. So I guessed it correctly, I would say. Or maybe actually the start from the guys in front was just poor. I don't know. But it went pretty well. And yeah, basically the same story as Sam had. First race was a lot of fun with the constant overtaking. Second race, I had some issues getting through the field. I got stuck in a small DRS train, which cost me like a few seconds, and that's what I noticed at the end. Like the gap to Sam was like 5 seconds, I believe, something like that. And we were just too similar pace to catch that up.
Yeah, as you did quite a good job at getting through the field in the second race. So also congrats to that, and just also amazing driving by you, as I know how tricky these cars can be, and I don't know if you guys saw some from it, but to say the least, this hairpin here is quite tricky, as we also saw you and I believe Arosa were overtaking Sam on the same corner, but you almost lost it, which well held.
Quite a
Uh,
few. Nice. Oh,
Yeah, actually, you can shift back to neutral, which happened that round. I was in neutral, I was applying the throttle. It's like, why am I not making any speed? And then I saw I was in neutral.
okay.
So something to notice for the next time.
Well, congrats on your races. Then we had
Thanks.
Dmitry Shank. I
Hello.
can't say out of my head where you finished the races, but how
Oh,
did you
midfield.
feel about?
Midfield, both races. Yeah. I just figured I'll drop in to give, the perspective from an average driver instead of those aliens.
It's also amazing to hear. But How did you enjoy these races?
Oh, they were so much fun, and these cars are amazing to drive. It's really balancing on the limit all the time. And I actually quite like the DRS system because, you get some amazing overtaking opportunities and especially into the hairpin. Um, But if you're the car in front and you're about 1.6, 1.7 behind or in front, you can still battle going into that hairpin. So it provides some amazing opportunities. And if you get past, then probably you will have the rush yourself the next lap. So it's amazing fun. Only spun once, so I'm happy.
Yeah, okay. Well, great. As we saw through the whole field between almost everybody, there were some battles. So lovely to see that. And nice that you enjoyed it. So to the next one,
Yeah,
and then also in the booth we have the winner of the second dominant race. I don't know if he is there, Mr. Dan Lensen.
Hello, yeah, I'm here.
Hi, good evening. Well, um, just before we talk about the first race, the second race, you for us it was just you getting dominant and driving some pretty good lap times out there in front and not having issues. It seemed like.
Yeah, it was well, I think it seemed pretty straightforward. The gap to the guys behind stayed pretty constant, but for me it was pretty hard work, especially without the traction control on ABS. It was quite difficult to keep the brakes from locking up. But yeah, it's a nice, cool car to drive, but you have to stay on top of it, otherwise it bites.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's a pretty damn car, but in the first race, I believe you were actually back to the pits, so we didn't see what happened there. But can you insights on there?
Yeah, so I was in I think P4 with Sam Nart and was it in front, and I exited. I think going into this third sector, I opened the DRS, which was fine, but then I slightly touched the curb and the car lifted up, and then when the DRS is open, and if you hit the curb wrong, it just goes, and there was no way to save it. And then I went full front into the wall, and then I tried to continue, but the engine was done, so I couldn't even start the car anymore. So that was a quick end to my first race,
Tough one.
unfortunately.
But then you had a good second race, so um, well, congrats on that, and we'll see you on the next round.
Thank you.
Well, so this was the Hockenheim race. Chris, your thoughts on it? I loved it.
I certainly enjoyed the first race. The second longer race there was a little bit of action, but it wasn't as enthralling or captivating as the first race at all, was it? But I think it's Norisring next, is it? Do we go to in 2 weeks' time?
Yeah, in about 2 weeks' time, we'll head to the amazing street circuit with at least 5 corners. Um, so the beauty, I kind of love it. The Norisring tight street circuit with lap times under a minute. So I'm looking forward to it.
I must admit, it's one of my favourite street circuits. I prefer to go around there than Monaco.
Yeah, and even with these cars, and still the DRS also being in effect there, we might also see some close action there. Um, so I can just say I enjoyed this evening, and yeah, I guess we'll see everybody at the next race at the Nurburgring.
So thank you very much for watching this video back. Thank you very much for your time, Wouter, and your commentary skills are excellent as usual. And we'll see you at the next race, guys.